Okay, let's begin. Okay, so the outcomes of this presentation is you'll get an understanding of this area of IT and specifically the commercial implications of the service, key considerations when looking at a provider, some of the secrets of the IT industry that if you're not in the industry are actually quite interesting, how SCAA is different and whether we're right for you, and questions you should ask when considering which IT provider is right for you, whether that's SCAA or another. Okay, so so cloud effectively means running your business on hardware or software that does not rely on physical infrastructure in your office. So in the industry, we joke this is just cloud just means somebody else's computer. But yeah, ultimately there are different types of clouds, but they all involve this concept, and we'll get into that shortly. Um, okay, what is backup? Effectively replicating your data. So generally, it's best practice to replicate your data to a different geographic location. But look, in a nutshell, backup is really just about ensuring in the event of some sort of IT issue that you have your data stored in multiple locations on multiple devices or on multiple platforms. Okay. Um, Yes, this is a combination of technologies, policies, and procedures designed to ensure your organization can continue to function in the event of a disaster. Yeah, so this is an area of IT and business in general that often a lot of companies don't think about. Yeah, depending on the type of organization you are, this can be really important. Absolutely. Yeah. So look, you probably have heard of private cloud, public cloud, and all this kind of, hybrid cloud even. Look, uh, again, this is a broad brush rule, let me be clear, but generally speaking, for small and medium-sized businesses with static workloads, which is a steady accumulation of data, uh, private cloud makes sense, particularly if it's amortized by the provider. Again, this is a very general rule. Please give us a call if you would like some further consultation. But yeah, public cloud on the other hand, now public cloud means things like Microsoft Azure or Amazon Web Services or Google. Um, this is what's called public cloud. And yeah, if you develop software, this is definitely right for yourselves. But if you do develop software and you're watching this, you probably already knew that. Okay. So another key consideration is how much downtime can you have? So this is a really good question. If your IT can go down for days and it's not a big deal, then cloud and backup and disaster recovery might not be the most important thing for you. But if you can't go down for more than an hour, then these areas of IT should be something that you really really look into. And we're going to get into that a little bit earlier, but this is the big question, or the big thing that you should consider as to how much you invest in this and who you work with. It's how much downtime and how much do I rely on IT? Does my business rely on these things? Yeah, so when often IT companies get drilled down to the bits and the bytes and the technology, right? And this can be quite disconcerting for small and medium-sized businesses. You really need to be able to define what outcomes you're looking for from the technology. Because again, you're not buying the technology per se, you're buying the outcome that the technology provides. This is where things like, yeah, do you want to enable remote working, maximum acceptable downtime in certain scenarios, um, security risks as well. All these things come into play, but you before you approach an IT provider, you should really have a sort of some semblance of an understanding about these things. Okay, this is where it gets a bit more interesting. Yep, this is a big one. So yeah, look, all all IT companies claim to be agnostic, and the simple fact is they're just not. Um, Now, within cloud, the area of cloud, I've got to say there, but public cloud versus private cloud, that 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 area of IT, it's almost like a religion. Many people will tell you private cloud is the best. Others will tell you public cloud is the best. Look, uh, often it comes down to which one that they're certified in, or which one they make more money in, right? This is something to be very aware of, that there is a huge amount of bias in the industry when it comes to public or private cloud. Um, so yeah, we're a little bit different. We can provide both, and we don't make assumptions. Look, ultimately, we yes, absolutely. There are different margins associated with different cloud options. 100%, very transparent about that. However, this doesn't affect what we recommend. The difference in margin is absolutely not enough for us to sort of uh, uh, provide, recommend the wrong solution for a few extra bucks. It's just not worth it to us. Some companies and unscrupulous salespeople, it is. This is definitely not the case with us. And the critical thing here is yeah, avoiding assumptions, and we're going to get into that a little bit more in more detail. But yes, I understand that IT providers are very biased. Yeah. So one of the things as well is around public cloud. So many proponents of public cloud will tell you that it's cheaper. Now that can often be the case, absolutely, right? But you need to understand that there are often many hidden costs that are very hard to predict, and often your IT provider won't even know about them. Okay. Now, again, I could talk about this extensively, but just understand with public cloud, there are hidden costs. It doesn't mean it's not right for you, but you just need to be aware of that. And yeah, we are up, as we just described, we're very upfront about this. Again, it's very important when entering into any buying any IT product that comes with a lot of technical lock-in, that you know exactly what you're getting yourself into. Yeah, this is an interesting one as well. So what happens is this basically. Obviously, IT is a competitive industry and clients want the best price. So in order to achieve that, what many IT providers do is they base their proposal on very unlikely assumptions, um, uh, or they leave out elements, and that often small and medium-sized businesses won't even notice. And those elements are critical, however. So the price looks very cheap, and then you sign up. Then, a month into the deployment or a few weeks into the deployment, all of a sudden, uh, the what you're deploying is not fit for purpose. It won't meet your requirements, and then you're forced to spend more money. And once you've signed up to the initial contract, IT providers can inflate the price of subsequent requirements, and you end up paying much more than you otherwise would have. So where SCAA is different, and this is an area that we're really different in. We will spend a substantial amount of time prior to the sale to ensure our proposal meets your requirements and there is no hidden costs. Now, again, just to be very clear, SCAA is not the cheapest provider out there, but we are the most transparent. So that is something to consider. This is a very common trick in the IT industry, underscoping, and you need to be aware that when you put price pressures on a provider, they do have ways of, being a bit cheeky, shall we say. It's a very common thing. Yeah, this is interesting. So yeah, disasters in terms of, offices getting burned down and things like that are very rare, and the vast majority of IT providers who provide this service have clients that have never had to actually enact the DR plan, because these are very uncommon. Um, so yes, we have. So we had a client who, long story short, their server room flooded, and yeah, they had to implement their DR plan immediately. And needless to say, it was extremely successful and worked out very well for them, well, given the circumstances. So yeah, that is something to consider as well. Real life experience with a disaster. That had a lot of sleepless nights. Okay. Critical questions. Yes, so working with a provider that can provide both public and private cloud options. Now, again, chances are you won't need both, but if they provide both, at least it means you'll get an honest appraisal of what is most viable for your requirements and what you're looking to achieve. Anyone that says, "Oh, public cloud is crap" or "private cloud is crap," no, that is just no. That is not the case. It really depends on your requirements. Yes, again, we might be a little bit biased here, but having a provider, if you are looking at DR, and yes, having a provider that has real life experience in handling one of these situations, I think is desirable personally. As yes, always get an escalation matrix. IT salespeople are very transient. The account manager you have today may not be the one you have in 6 months. In fact, that's highly likely. Moreover, yeah, you need to make sure that your provider is accountable. The best way to do that is have an escalation matrix that goes all the way up to the owner of the company. Yeah, really important that one. Reference clients, of course, and service level agreements. Really important that these are very clear and you understand them. And if the provider is sort of not forthcoming with either reference customers or reference clients or SLAs, then that's a bit of a problem. And again, particularly if you're an SME, one of the nice things about working uh, with an SME IT provider is that you have a relationship with the owner or a senior member of the team. You don't want to just be working with the more junior members. Some red flags. Yeah, if you get a proposal without something coming on site or without sort of extensive discovery, that is a huge red flag. Again, the reason why IT people have poor experience with IT really comes down to the IT provider making assumptions that turn out to be incorrect. I can tell you every client is different, and when you assume, well, you know the saying. Again, if they don't provide or they're unwilling or you get a feeling that something's wrong when it comes to reference clients, that should be a real red flag. You would be surprised how many very large IT companies will struggle to find clients that are willing to vouch for them. You would be surprised. Yeah, I've worked for some really big ones, and yeah, you'd be really surprised. So yeah, that's a real red flag. If they don't give you an escalation matrix, that's a huge red flag. Huge red flag. Again, most of when it comes to cloud backup and down, you're talking about extended contracts of between 3 and 5 years. So yeah, yeah, there's a lot of risk in picking the wrong provider here. Um, yeah, and again, look, when I say red flag, that might be, yeah, you want to have a provider that can give you an honest appraisal because, look, whilst from a functionality perspective, whether you go private cloud or public cloud to an SME with standard requirements, it might not make a huge difference. There can be a substantial difference on price, and you'd just be wasting money, right? Look, neither picking the wrong cloud is probably not going to be the end of the world, but if you don't want to spend an extra $2,000 or $3,000 a month when you don't have to. Okay. And that's it. Hopefully that's helped. Thank you for your time.